morning, everyone. My name is Jerry Shockey. I oversee all the youth and educational programs here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And we want to welcome you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio for our Heart of the Hall of Famer. I do think somebody has their microphone still on. I'm getting some feedback. So make sure all the schools have their microphones muted. So I'm getting a little feedback from one of the schools. Okay. The real idea and the real premise behind this program is to show really what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond just the athletic ability, the heart of a Hall of Famer, the 6 pillars that you guys are studying: the trustworthiness, the respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. One thing that can be said about our Hall of Famers are great examples of athleticism, obviously, to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the one thing that might not be brought up as much, but is equally as important, if not more important, because it's who they are and everything that they do, whether it's athletics or whatnot, is their character and those 6 core pillars. And you guys have the opportunity today to ask one of the greatest, not only football players, one of the great human beings in our country. I mean, just someone that's very giving of himself, someone that's been successful on the field, been successful off the field, and just a great person that if we were to emulate someone or try to be like someone, this is the person that we would aspire to be like, because they're just one of the outstanding citizens in the United States. And he's going to give you the recipe of what made him successful, so you guys can take that recipe, and maybe your recipe might be a little bit different, but still take those things that he learned throughout his life and his career and then apply those to your lives, so you guys can go on to a Hall of Fame career, whether it be in football, whether it be in the best plumber, the best pastor, the best teacher, or whatever it might be. So that's the idea here today. And this program is not possible without great partners. And we have some great partners out there. Number one, we first and foremost have to thank our friends at the Central New York Regional Information Center, the RICS there, as they refer to them in New York, but Central New York. Amy Spath, thank you very much for making this connection possible here today. They are the folks that are hosting Mr. Little at their offices there. So thank you, Amy, for all your help. And as always, with any of these Heart of the Hall of Famers, we have to thank our friends at eTech Ohio that support us for every one of these programs and make all the multi-point connections happen. And that's through our Ohio State Department of Education, our friends at eTech Ohio in Columbus, Ohio. Jason, Derek, and Josh, thank you very much for all that you guys do and helping not only the Hall of Fame, but all the content providers and schools and other public entities across the state of Ohio. Thank you very much. We have to thank our teachers, because without our teachers making the arrangements for this to happen and preparing the students, this doesn't take place. And last but definitely not least, we have to thank our students, because you guys are the real stars of the show. You're going to be the ones asking the questions here. You're the one that's done the research about Mr. Little and his background and come up with some great questions to ask him. And you're going to be the driving force behind this program with your questions. So we want to thank you for all your help. And what we want to do for the students here today is we want to give each school an opportunity to give a shout out, to show some school spirit, whatever it might be. So when I call upon your school, feel free to give a shout out. So teachers, I apologize to the last group as well. But teachers in this session as well, close your doors, or if you're in a library, like I think I see Barron Middle School is, my apologies for disturbing your library with a cheer. But what I'm going to do is call upon these schools to go ahead and give a shout out. So not only Mr. Little can see where you guys are from and see and hear from you guys, but all the other schools can see and hear from you as well. So let's start with the district that is helping host Mr. Little. Let's go to Onondaga High School in North Syracuse, New York. Go ahead and give a shout out if you'd like. Give a shout out. All right, there we. You guys are the same group of students as last time, are you? No. Well, tell your other group of students you guys did a lot better. Thank you. You guys got bragging rights for today. Thank you very much. And let's go to Fredericksburg, Virginia, with Battlefield Middle School. Go ahead and give a shout out there, Battlefield.
It's us, guys.
All right. Thank you, Battlefield. Appreciate the enthusiasm. Go ahead and mute your mics there. Let's go to Alabama and go to Mountain Gap Elementary School. Go ahead, Mountain Gap.
Good morning. Our students will be here in just a moment.
Okay. All right. All right. Go ahead and give a cheer then.
Woo! Yay!
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mountain Gap. And let's go to Notesville, Virginia, with Kettle Run. Go ahead and give a shout out there, Kettle Run. All right, thank you very much. And let's go to Oberlin, Ohio. Let's go to Lorain County JVS.
Our students are on their way and they'll be here shortly.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And last but definitely not, well, let's go to Sentinel Career Center. Sentinel, did you guys get connected yet? Did we only squad?
Yeah, we're here. We're here. Our students
Okay.
are on the way as well. But...
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And let's go, last but definitely not least, let's go to Barron Middle School in Wisconsin.
Ready?
Okay, thank you very much, Barron. And again, we'll remind all the schools to please keep your microphones muted throughout the program until we call upon you to ask your question. And even after you ask your question, make sure you mute the microphone immediately afterwards so we can avoid any interruptions during the broadcast. But now I'd like to introduce our featured speaker here today, and that's Hall of Famer Floyd Little from the class of 2010. Now, let me read some information about you, but not only about his behind-the-scenes career, his on-the-field career, his off-the-field career, and some of the charitable things that Mr. Little is involved with. And I think what you'll find that his off-the-field career is as remarkable, if not more remarkable, than his on-the-field career that led him to, obviously, the induction in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But Mr. Little hails from New Haven, Connecticut, and from birth, second best was a condition he was not comfortable with. Armed with sincerity, honesty, and the 5 basic ingredients, and he did correct me, there are 6. I don't have that 6th one, but I'm sure he'll bring it up here in just a moment. My apologies, Mr. Little. I did get this from your website, Mr. Little, by the way, some of these things. So, but for ingredients for success, now pay attention to this, students. His ingredients for success: drive, determination, dedication, commitment, and sacrifice. Mr. Little set on a path less traveled. Little was drafted in 1967 by the Denver Broncos, where he toiled for 9 rugged years as the leading rusher with the Broncos. He led as the team's career rusher with 6,323 yards and 1,641 attempts, and scored 43 touchdowns throughout his career. Little was recognized as a 3-time All-America player and twice won the American Football League rushing title. Little's legendary number 44 was retired both at Syracuse University and at the Denver Broncos. And then in 2010, Mr. Little received the highest individual award that any player can receive, and that's being enshrined into the Pro Hall of Fame. In his later years of professional football, his pursuit of excellence continued. He graduated from the University of Denver College of Law in 1975. Upon retirement from the Denver Broncos in 1976, Little could be seen on NBC as a television commentator. He's currently residing in Syracuse, New York. He currently serves as a special assistant to the athletic director for Syracuse University. He is the former president and owner. And I do want to remind the schools, please mute your microphones. I think, Barron, that might be you guys that have your microphone unmuted. Oh, thank you very much. He was known as one of the most successful and well-respected Ford dealers in the industry. Ford Motor Company has solicited his assistant as a consultant and its instructor for its minority dealers program dealer development area. He has assisted numerous dealers nationwide, including the training and installation of the first African-American Ford dealer in Taft, California back in 1986. Floyd retired as a proud Ford dealer in December of 2009, so his retirement is pretty recent still, and at the time was the oldest tenured minority dealer in the Ford portfolio. Community service awards that he's been involved with: the YMCA Brian Piccolo Award, the Distinguished American Award for Community Service presented by the Connecticut Hall of Fame, and the American Jewish Community Appeal for Human Relations citations in recognition of the outstanding contributions Little made towards the betterment of man in his community. And he also received an award this weekend from the Fitz Pollard Foundation as well, so I'm sure he'll share a little bit about that as well. Today, Floyd is traveling the country as a popular and sought-after public speaker for Touchdown Presentations LLC, and makes appearances for the National Football League, as well as you see here today for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In his spare time, he actively participates in and supports numerous charitable events around the country. And then in addition to all these things, first and foremost, Floyd is a family man. He's married in 2003 to Syracuse native Deborah Green. He has 2 daughters, a son, and 4 grandchildren. So before we ask Mr. Little to share his opening remarks, what I would like to do is give you guys a little bit of a video of a quick snippet of Mr. Little's career in the NFL.
It could be argued that without Floyd Little, there would be no Denver Broncos. In 1967, Little became the first #1 pick to ever sign with Denver, and his success and popularity sparked interest in the team and prevented the relocation of the franchise. From 1968 to 1973, nobody in pro football rushed for more yards or had more yards from scrimmage than Floyd Little. He made the Pro Bowl 5 times in his 9-year career. And when he retired, he was the 7th leading rusher in NFL history.
And if all the schools can join me right now and unmute your microphones and join me in giving a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer, Mr. Floyd Little. We'll ask all the schools to go ahead and mute your microphones, and Mr. Little, the stage is yours, sir.
Hi, thanks, Jerry. You know, what a joy and an honor it is for me to have this opportunity just to sit with you today and have a chance to talk a little bit about who I am and what I am and where I've been. You are our future leaders of tomorrow and our future athletes, our future doctors and teachers. And I hope that I can impart with you some of the things that allowed me to have the success that I've had. Just this weekend, I was with Andrew Luck and RG3 and Coach Miles and all of the college All-Americans, where I was honored as the Distinguished American, with Hall of Famer Harry Carson as the Man of the Year and Andrew Luck as the Player of the Year, and Les Miles as the Coach of the Year. So I had a chance to really interact with all of these great people. And one of the things that I challenged them to do as athletes is, as being game changers today, to be world changers and life changers tomorrow. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I had an opportunity to talk to 2,500 kids, and I mean kids because they're 7th and 8th graders, about the value of staying in school. I mean, this is an initiative that Syracuse University has, Say Yes to Education, and the Hall of Fame people have the same initiative of staying in school. I want to encourage you to continue to grow in school in any way you can and learn as much as you can, because knowledge through education is an ongoing process that will never end. What you achieve in life is directly related to what you have in your mind. So I want to continue to encourage you to challenge yourselves every day to be the best that you can be. If I never challenged myself, I could have never become a Hall of Famer. If I didn't challenge myself, I would have never tried out for baseball, football, basketball, or ran track. But by challenging myself, it gave me the opportunity to really explore who I am and what I am and what I want it to be. And not listen to those that tell you you can't. A lot of people was telling me I wasn't big enough, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't fast enough. And a lot of us listen to that. And I just want to share with you, don't let someone else's opinion of you become your reality. You can be whatever you want to be. I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. I wasn't the smartest kid in the class. I struggled. I mean, I really struggled in junior high school, high school. I went on to military school before I went to college. And then after college, I went on into pro football. And while I played pro football, I went to law school. And I'm not the smartest person in the world. It was very hard. It was very challenging for me. But I chose to challenge myself to be a life changer, to change the world one person at a time. So I encourage you and I challenge you all to stay in school, because just getting an education isn't enough anymore. You have to compete with some of the greatest minds in the world. And you have to equip yourself with the knowledge and experience and the opportunity. And those that goes and don't go to school and they drop out of school or they take it for granted, you have a very difficult time in life. So I just want to encourage you all to stay in school, to study hard, to work hard, and try to be the best that you can be. It was said that I would rather attempt to do something great and fail rather than to attempt to do nothing and succeed. There's too many of us attempting to do nothing and succeeding. So my goal and my challenge to you is have dreams and have goals. And have big dreams and big goals and expect great things to happen to you and great things to happen for you. You got to be willing to shoot for the moon in all that you do, because even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. You got to have big dreams. You got to be focused. You got to be committed to be the best that you can be. I believe in you. I trust that you all will do well. I trust and hope that you all will stay in school. I trust and hope that you all will be changers of people's lives, to influence those around you, not to succumb to the peer pressure, the negative peer pressure. There's positive peer pressure as well. But try to do the things that's going to make you the kind of role model that somebody to want to aspire to be like. So it's your time. Take full advantage of everything life has to offer. Stay in school, study hard, be a world changer. Be what I call a distinguished American, the award that I received this weekend as a distinguished American. I challenge all of you to try to be one of the distinguished Americans in your lifetime and my lifetime. Congratulations for being here. I hope that you have some questions that I can help you in your efforts to reach the level of success that you want to reach, and to remember that this is your time, and be the best that you can be. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And, students, I want to reiterate, as you're asking your questions, you are talking to one of the greatest players ever in the NFL. There's 267 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There have been over 20,000 players that have played in the National Football League since 1920. Out of those 267, about 230 or so are actual players. The rest are coaches and administrators and other front office personnel. So you are talking to one of the greatest. So when you start thinking about the running backs in the NFL, maybe some that are going to retire that may go on to the Hall of Fame, guys like LaDainian Tomlinson or any of the backs in the NFL right now that you look up to in the NFL, they aspire to be in Mr. Little's shoes as a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I can tell you, if they read a little bit about Mr. Little's background and about what he's accomplished off the field, I guarantee you they would aspire even more to be the person that he is off the field as well. So you guys have the opportunity to ask Mr. Little all these questions. I've seen the questions you guys have submitted. There's been some great questions that you guys have submitted. So I encourage you to ask those challenging and thought-provoking questions, that to ask, what made him successful, what barriers did he cross to get there, who do you used to hang around with, whatever it is that that you want to ask. But I encourage you to ask those questions, because you guys have the opportunity. You'll hear him say it over and over again. To be the best, you have to surround yourself with the best. Well, you have an opportunity to hear and learn from one of the best. And again, I'm not even talking just on football field. I'm talking about just people in our country. So, I really encourage you. I get excited about this because I love doing this program, because I learn as well. I take notes every program, so I've got my pen and paper out here as well, so I'm learning as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the order of Onondaga, Battlefield, Mountain Gap, Kettle Run, Lorain County, and then Barron Middle School. That'll be the order of the questions. We'll go from one question from each site, and we'll rotate through as many times as we can. Again, a reminder, after you ask your question, please make sure to mute your microphone immediately afterwards, just so we can eliminate any distractions. So with that being said, to start the program off, let's stay there in North Syracuse. Onondaga High School, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Little. Now that you've had all this success, is there anything you think back on that you would change or that you would do differently?
Well, I think if I did, it would change the outcome. Things happen for a reason. There's no question in my mind that I've been given a grace or a blessing that it's allowed me to have to really be challenged in my life to be the best that I can be. So if I had to, I wish my dad was still around. My dad passed away when I was 5, and I took on the challenges that he would have had to do if he still stayed alive or didn't pass away. But I wouldn't change anything. I think my journey has been an unbelievable journey. I've met a tremendous amount of people on the way that's allowed me to be better, and for them to mentor me and be my role model, to find a way in life to be one that gives back to life and to society. So I don't know that I would have changed anything. I think the thing for me is my journey was laid out for me, and all I've done was just follow that journey. And I wound up in Pro Football Hall of Fame. I wound up at the College Hall of Fame. I wound up in 6 other Hall of Fames across the country. Every jersey that I've played in as high school and military school, college, and pros have been retired. that was my journey. So if I changed anything, that may not have happened. So no, I don't know that I would have changed anything, because I am the person that I am because of what's happened to me along the way on my journey. So, but that's a good question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Onondaga. Let's go to Virginia in Battlefield Middle School.
Good afternoon, Mr. Little. The question I have for you is, we have a problem here with our students being followers rather than leaders. So what advice do you have for the young people here? And do you have any examples of negative influences from your peers growing up?
Well, yeah, I have always been told that I couldn't do anything. I wasn't big. But see, you can't follow anybody. Sometimes you have to take the path that is less traveled. Because in life, you are either saying hello or goodbye. If you ain't on the way, you slowly will be in the way. So you have to choose to be different from a lot of people. You have to look at people that are doing things and being successful. See, it's a choice you have to make. It's about the choices that we make. If we make a bad choice, we wind up in a bad situation. You have to surround yourself with people who want to grow, people who want to do something. You know, smart people hang around with people who are smarter than they are. Athletes always hang around with athletes that's got better skills than they have. See, you have to just hang with people that want to be something and do something and be respectful about what they do. It's difficult. It's difficult. But you can't let anybody make the decisions for you. You have to decide what you want to do, and sometimes you have to take a road that is less traveled. And but it's up to you to choose the right thing in life. And you have to focus on where you want to be, where you want to end up, the things you want to contribute to in life, and the things you want to aspire to be. And if you're looking at somebody else and following them, and they're not going where you want to go, you can't stay on that path. You got to choose another path. And I encourage you all to be who you are, be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and not try to emulate somebody who's doing something opposite of what your goals and objectives are. And a lot of people want to try to get you to come out of school or stay out of school or don't study or hang out with them. That ain't who you are. That ain't what you want. You got to do what you need to do to be successful. Success is not easy. I mean, you get challenged every day. You got to make decisions every day. See, you got to have the right attitude. See, attitude is the only thing that you completely control. So every day you have to wake up with a positive attitude and make sure that you're going to do the best that you can do to be the best that you can be. It's not always the person who's got the high grades and the smart people that get ahead. It's the person who has the positive attitude is the one that gets the raises, get the promotions, get the opportunities. So it's keep your attitude positive about what you want to do and how you want to do it. And don't allow anybody else to change that.
Thank you very much there, Battlefield. Let's go to Mountain Gap in Huntsville, Alabama.
How would you advise students, players in dealing with peer pressure today?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that there's good peer pressure and there's bad peer pressure. I mean, if you have peer pressure from people who are successful and want to do things that are good and notable, those are the kind of people you hang with. You hang around with people who want to be better than you are, or you hang around with people that are going places, doing things, making a positive impact, or positive role models that's going to class, that got good work ethic and things like that. People that are trying to get you to do things you don't want to do, you're going to have to be able to say no to them. You have to say no to the negative things in your life. You have to say no to the negative people in your life. And you can't hang around them. You got to say, hey, that's not for me. I'm sorry, but that's not for me. I want to go to school. I want to go to college. I want to be somebody. I want to be somebody that aspires to be the best that they can be. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a judge. And I can't do that if I make the decisions to hang with you. So I know people will try to get you to do things that you want to do. You just have to be tough enough, strong enough, positive enough to look at them and say, I don't think so. That's not for me. That's how you got to handle it. You got to confront it. You got to hit it head on. And the positive peer pressure, you says, yes, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. If it's going to help you become better and become productive and get to the level that you want to get to in success, because it doesn't come easy. There's a price to pay to be successful. And there's a lot of sacrifices that you got to make. Jerry talked about the 6 basic ingredients earlier in the program. In order for you to reach the highest level of success that is possible, you got to have drive, determination, dedication, and desire. and the rest is the commitment and the sacrifice. These are two things that are very, very challenging. It doesn't have a degree of level. There's a degree of level in drive, and there's a degree of level in determination, and there's a degree of level in desire, but there's no degree of level in commitment and sacrifice. It's self-explanatory. If you're willing to make the sacrifices, if you're really to be committed, then you can really, really be whatever you want to be, and you don't listen to those people that try to get you to do something that you don't want to do, and you don't succumb to the peer pressure. So peer pressure is very, very prevalent today, but you just have to look at people and say, I don't think so. And you got to be confident about what you want to do or what you want to be, and you got to always be focused on where you want to go. Thank you. That's a good question.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And desire was the one that I was missing, Mr. Little. Desire. I wrote it down here. I got the 6 now. I got all 6. Let's go from Alabama to Virginia. Let's go to Nokesville. Kettle Run. If you got a question, go ahead.
What events in your lifetime made you who you are?
What events in my lifetime that's made me who I am? There's been quite a few of them. There's been opportunities of denial. There's been opportunities where I wasn't really, really smart, and I had to work harder, and I had to study longer, and I had to make sacrifices by not going places because I haven't had enough time to prepare. So the events in my life has been having no chance to succeed like the average person or regular people in my life. I had to work harder. So being denied the opportunity, being denied to have the equipped with the abilities, I had a learning disability. For me, it was hard to learn, so I had to study longer, work harder. I wasn't the smartest guy in the class. I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but my work ethic was better than anybody's. I worked harder as an athlete. I worked harder as a student, and it paid off. So having to be challenged every day because I didn't have all of the tools, even the physical tools as a player. I'm not a big guy. I played at 190, 195, 5'10", played against guys that were way bigger than me, but I was the strongest guy on the team. I can lift more than anybody on the team. I can run faster than anybody on the team, and my heart was bigger than anybody's on the team. So it wasn't about my stature. It was about my desire. So, but the events in my life that's made me successful is having to work harder to be accepted as an athlete and as a student.
And see, you guys get the glory part of being an NFL athlete. You know, you see them on Sundays, but you don't see them the other 6 days a week. How much tape they're studying, how much film, how much repetition, how much work, how many hours in the weight room, all the things that it takes to be a football player. You know, for great success, you got to put in, as Mr. Little says, you got to put in work. And I don't care what it is. You know, you think of if you're a rap fan, if you like, I don't know, Jay-Z or whoever. I mean, whoever your favorite. Those people that are at the top of and you know, whether they're producers or rap artists or whatever, those people are putting in time. You see the glory element. You hear the radio play their lyrics or whatever. You don't see all the hours they put in behind the scenes to make that happen. So no matter what you choose to do, you got to put in the time to be successful if you want to be the best, like Mr. Little is. So you know, no matter what it is, I wish you guys got to see, you know, Monday through Saturday for an NFL athlete with the work that they have to put in to do that, because that's the real work. The game is fun. The real work is through the week. So let's go ahead. Thank you, Kettle Run, and let's go to Lorain County in Oberlin.
What was your favorite part about the NFL?
What was my favorite part about the NFL? Just being able to participate. It's like only 1 in 1,000 that make it, and only 1 in 2,000 players that play more than 3 or 4 years. So just being, you know, unlike the Hall of Fame, I'm the 257th Hall of Fame in Hall of Fame history, and 20 or 30 of those guys are contributors. So there's like only 158 of us still standing, and of the 158 still standing, there's about 30 of us that never played. So there's actually only 125 of us that are still standing, although there have been 267 Hall of Famers. But I think the thing that really gets me into a different position, being a player in the National Football League, is being told that I couldn't play. I mean, when people tell me things that I can't do, that's my motivation. I mean, I was told that I couldn't play in the National Football League. How could they tell you that? How can somebody tell me that I'm not able to play in the National Football League when I'm just like anybody else? All I need is an opportunity to fail. See, that's what I think. Everybody should get an opportunity to fail. But there's so much work go into preparing yourself to go to the next level, to go to college, to play on that level. And when I talk with all the All-Americans this weekend, the Andrew Lucks of the world, the RG3s of the world, they have a work ethic that's unbelievable. They do things that people aren't willing to do. See, as an athlete, as a student, as a professional, you have to really, really commit yourself to be the best that you can be. And the work you do, the things that you put into getting better, training, sacrificing, these are the things that make you better. I mean, it's as a player in the National Football League, I was told that I couldn't play. I played as long as I wanted to play. I went to law school while I played. I graduated law school, retired, and here I am.
Okay, and thank you, Lorain County. Let's go to Wisconsin, Barron Middle School. If you have a question, go ahead.
What was your favorite memory in the NFL?
That's a good question. I had quite a few favorite memories in the NFL. A couple of them. One, they had a Floyd Little Day when I was honored by the president and the governor. And the last game I played at Mile High Stadium in Denver was when my teammates carried me off the field, and some of the players from the Philadelphia Eagles was a part of that. When I had players, a favorite moment for me was when I had Bill Bergey was a middle linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Harold Carmichael, which was a wide receiver who still works today for the Philadelphia Eagles, was a part of congratulating me for being the kind of player I was, making the contributions that I made to the football, the National Football League, and to see me leave the game now, it was a sad moment for them, but to help carry me off the field and say, you were a great player, Floyd, and we will miss you. God bless you. Good luck. To have you have the team players from another team come over to. That was really quite a moment for me as a player. Not a particular play, not being honored at halftime as Floyd Little Day, but to have the players that played against you honor you in the way that these two Philadelphia Eagles honored me. Those are the things that in life that you don't forget. That's a very good question, and thank you for that question.
Great question, Barron. And let's go back to North Syracuse. Now, I noticed we are getting a little pixelation and some little audio issue there for a second. So when Mr. Little answers the next question, I will call our bridge and see if there's anything we can do to help remedy that. But go ahead, Onondaga, if you have a question, go ahead and ask it.
Growing up, was it always your dream to play professional football, or was it more the sport that found you?
Yeah, it was the sport that found me. I was a competitor as a young man in high school. I played basketball. I was a center on the basketball team, guys that were much taller than I. We had a player that I played against that was 6'11", a player that I played against was 6'9". I ran track. I held a world record in the 160 indoors at Syracuse. But football was something that I was told I couldn't do. I couldn't play. And as such, that's been the biggest motivation of my life, being told that I couldn't. Someone else's opinion of me doesn't have to become my reality. I mean, I'm not listening to those who say I can't. And you shouldn't. I mean, the things that you want to do, the things that you want to acquire in your life, you got to go for it. You got to do something. Do it. Take a chance. And do all you can to be the best that you can be. But don't let anybody tell you what you can do. It's up to you to say that I want to do this or I don't want to do this. Somebody behind you can't tell you that. Don't try this, don't try that. Don't limit me in what I want to do. I mean, just give me the opportunity and allow me to fire myself. Don't you fire me like Tim Tebow. They tried to fire him. I mean, let him fire himself. The guy's been a winner at every level. I mean, Who's to say he can't play in the National Football League? They say, well, his mechanics don't play the game. People play the game. Let him play. He'll find out. You'll find out he can't play. And what I said last year, he's wound up playing, and he's doing a great job. Took his team to the playoff, won 9 games. Are you kidding me? He can't play. He can't throw. What do you mean he can't throw? He completed 10 passes. Well, he can't throw as good as Brady, or he can't. Oh, just say that then. He's not as good a passer as some of the other quarterbacks. But he can throw, and he's proven that. So just like anything else, just like you or anybody else, don't let anybody tell you you can't do anything. You know, it's about you and what you do and how much emotion and impact that you have within you or what you want to accomplish. Do all that you can do. Be all that you can be. Let the chips fall where they may. At the end of the day, it would be determined whether you were any good. But as long as you've had a chance to play and enjoy it every day.
Thank you very much. And let's go to Virginia, Battlefield.
Mr. Little, do you emulate yourself as a running back of today? Like, who do you look at now and say, oh, wow, that was exactly how I ran? Because some of the kids that I have here at Battlefield's never seen any games in the 60s and the 70s and how the game has changed. So can you compare yourself to somebody that's running the ball today?
Well, no, the people that I compare myself to is Barry Sanders and Gale Sayers. I mean, they ran in my era. We were different kind of runners, more scat-backish type of runners. These are power runners today, the Adrian Petersons and the people like that. They run pretty hard, and they take a pretty good lick. But when I played, we played every down. We wasn't down in situations, you know, like a Bradshaw that comes in and out. I played all the time. And I returned punts and kickoffs, and I was on the extra point and field goal team, and I was on the punt team, and I was on the kickoff team. So as a running back, I did everything for my football team. So the players today, they're in situations. They're in and out of the game. They play maybe 2 or 3 plays a series. They don't play special teams. They don't return punts or kickoffs. So the players today, I can't compare to the players today because they play a little bit different. They play and carry the ball 30, 40 times. I carried the ball 18. I ended my career the 7th leading rusher in the game. I played at a field that was much shorter because of the hash marks. So I think that the level of play that I see today is different from the level of play that I had to play. But I enjoyed it, and I thought I was a pretty decent running back. Obviously, I'm in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the guy that I like, his running style, is Adrian Peterson. He plays with the intention that I played with, and the other players that I mentioned played with. And yeah, Adrian Peterson is my favorite running back in the National Football League.
Okay, great question. And if I can chime in there, if there's a player that I compare today, just in no other way, but just the fact that he plays a number of different positions, and someone that you guys are familiar with, especially our Cleveland school, is maybe Josh Cribbs, someone that not only plays quarterback, he plays running back, he plays wide receiver, plays wide receiver most of the time. Sometimes lines up in the wildcat formation. I've seen him take kick returns. He's also on special teams. He's their leading tackler on special teams as well. So here's their star, the Cleveland Brown star, that does everything for the team. So I guess if there's someone that I'd somewhat throw in the same, we want to say the same league as Floyd Little, but but someone that kind of is headed in that direction, I guess it would be Josh Cribbs, who most of you probably know, just someone that does so much for their team. So thank you, Battlefield. Let's go to Mountain Gap.
If you had one mistake that was your greatest lesson, what was it, and what did you learn?
Well, one mistake, I can tell you, I got really angry during the game. I let my emotions get the better of me because I was in a game against the Atlanta Falcons, and I ran a play where I wasn't even in the play. I was just used as a decoy to pull a linebacker out of a position so that the quarterback can throw the ball in an area where nobody would be. And as I was running as a decoy, someone came up and they blindsided me, and I wasn't even in the play. The play went the other way. I was looking at the ball at the other play, and somebody came from my left side, and they pancaked me. It knocked my helmet off up in the air, and I lost control, and I chased the guy all around every play. I was penalized. I punished my team because I had 3 penalties where I kept going after the guy and not really recognizing the play. He had taken the game away from me by hitting me with a cheap shot that allowed me not to be the player that I could have been or should have been by chasing him all over the field during the game and then waiting for him at the end of the game in front of his locker room when the game was over, waiting to get even. So that was not who I am and who I should have been. It was his deal where he blindsided me and hit me in a bad place at the wrong time, and it allowed me to not be the player that I could have been and should have been. And I hurt my team as a result of it. We lost the game because I was taken out of the game, and maybe that was his charge to do that. But we have to be better as players, not to allow ourselves to hurt our teams by engaging in fights and getting thrown out of the game. We have to be better controlled than that. And I wasn't controlled in that situation, and it hurt my football team. And I've learned from that. And I see a lot of players today, taking these shots and causing fights and being kicked out of the game and being fined. I mean, we ought to understand that it's a game and people are going to do that to you. But don't let people take you out of your rhythm. Don't let people allow you to hurt your football team, and by you trying to hurt somebody back because they took a shot at you. The great thing was when I saw the game when Adamakin Suh took his knee and he did what he did to that player, he didn't retaliate. That means that player that was hurt unnecessarily was a better player than the player that tried to hurt him. So I take my hat off to that player who was restrained and didn't hurt his football team. And eventually they won the game. So, I'm not proud of that. I remember that. And that's a black mark on my career because I hurt my football team by being that way.
Okay, and thank you, Mountain Gap. Let's go back to Virginia, Nokesville. Kettle Run, go ahead.
Hi, what was the biggest obstacle for you to become as successful as you are today?
What was the biggest obstacles? There's always a lot of obstacles along the way. I just think getting over the fact that you always was told that this ain't for you. How do you overcome that? How can you overcome when people don't believe in you? How do you overcome when people don't have faith and confidence or trust in you? What do you do to overcome that? That's the biggest obstacle in the world, someone telling you that you don't belong. How do you overcome that? By proving to them that you do belong, by proving to them that you can succeed. And that was an obstacle. I mean, it's a mental thing when you are trying to be the best that you can be and somebody telling you don't belong. My challenge and my charge as an athlete, even as a student, is being told that I didn't belong here. I didn't belong here. I didn't belong there. So to get over that and to not allow that to their opinion to become your reality, it's a struggle. It's a challenge when you're on this side of the room and everybody's on that side of the room, and they're telling you don't belong in the room. So you have to prove to everybody that you do belong in the room, and I did. So that was the biggest challenge and obstacle I had to overcome by letting people know that I did belong and I can succeed.
Thank you, Kettle Run. Great question. And let's go Lorain County.
Yes, when did you realize in your career that the Hall of Fame was an attainable accomplishment?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's one of the best questions that I had today, because if I was a Hall of Famer when I retired, why did it take 35 years for me to be a Hall of Famer? I mean, the numbers are still the same. The numbers don't change. I thought that because I played in Denver was an area that didn't have a lot of press. I played with 27 quarterbacks and 50 offensive linemen. Denver had not won anything or done anything. It was in the middle of the country with no really strong press ties. So when it comes to vote for Hall of Famers, I wasn't considered, even though my career was great and I ended my career as the 7th leading rusher in the history of the game. But I played for the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos don't have anybody. Never had anybody. I was the only player from the Broncos to play in the Pro Bowl. So how do you get the recognition as a player when you're playing on a team that's never won anything? But see, it's supposed to be about individual accomplishments, not team accomplishments. If I gained more yards than anybody during my era as a running back, but yet I'm not a Hall of Famer because I played on a team that wasn't very good, it's not fair. And I've always been angry that it's taken me 35 years to get in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not angry anymore because that's the time that was scheduled for me to go in. It wasn't 5 years after I retired. I had to take 35 years to get into the Hall of Fame. But I'm in, and it doesn't matter how long it took. I'm a Hall of Famer, and everything is forgiven because I've reached the level of the apex or the zenith of my sports career that I'm now the 257th Hall of Famer in Hall of Fame history. And that means a lot to me that I eventually got in and I was alive when I got in, that my family can celebrate the moment with me. And it's exciting for me as a Hall of Famer to be addressed as a Hall of Famer. And it's one of the greatest experiences of my life is to be a part of a unique fraternity of players that played in the National Football League that are considered the best that's ever played the game. So I'm honored to be a Hall of Famer.
And Mr. Little, I could say we're honored to have you there too. So in the Hall of Fame, because you just a great individual. So I mean, it's you do so much for us, and for our educational programs especially. You've done this twice now for us, and I just you're a tremendous asset to us as well. So we're glad you got enshrined. Maybe should have been 20 years ago, but it happened, and we're glad you're here now. So, and just so the kids know, he wasn't mad at me. The staff has nothing to do with the selection process. They're the media representatives, sports writers mostly, that do the selection process. So, I don't want to be thinking Floyd Little's mad at Jerry Shockey. So let's go from Lorraine to Barron. Let's go to Wisconsin. Barron Middle School.
What advice do you have for us to get in the NFL?
Well, that's good. That's a good question. What advice do I have for anybody? All you can do is be the best that you can be, and work very, very hard. Have the work ethic, have the skill levels, have the ability, and never quit, never lay down, never give up. The advice is to find a position that you enjoy, that you excel in, because there's so many other great athletes out there. There's so many great players out there. And for you to make it to the next level, and during the draft period, you got all these players that's eligible for the draft, but it's only so many people get drafted. Others are signed as free agents. Some of the players never even get a chance to even be involved in the process. So as a player that really wants to one day play at the next level, and there's a very small percentage of players that do, is to hone your skills, work to be the best that you can be. Work hard after practice, work hard during practice, work hard during the games. Be the best that you can be. Catch as many passes as you can catch, run as many routes as you can run, tackle as many people as you can, block as many people as you can. But it's something that you try to improve on every day. So if you want to get a chance to play in the National Football League, you have to improve on your skill levels every day and be focused. If that's what your goal is, but don't be disappointed if you don't make it, because there's very few people who do make it. But to give yourself the opportunity and the chance to be in the National Football League, the advice I can give you is to take your position and play hard at it and be the best at it that you can be, and work very, very hard. And hopefully you'll get the opportunity to be drafted or even walk on as a free agent, like Victor Cruz. You're looking at a guy who's number 80 for the Giants, who was cut, who was a free agent, who was told that he couldn't play. Like me, he's the best player on the Giants team. He got them to the level where they are, getting ready to play in the championship game. Victor Cruz, number 80, from Paterson, New Jersey. He was cut. But somehow he was able to get an opportunity to play, and he showed them what he can do. And he is the best receiver that I've seen in National Football this year because of the catches he's made and the distances that he's made. He's had more 50-yard catches this year than anybody in the National Football League. He's a guy that's helped the Giants get to the level that they are today. And if it wasn't for Victor Cruz, the Giants wouldn't be there. The guy that's catching the passes now, he would have never had a chance to catch him because he would have never been in the playoffs. So Victor Cruz is a guy that you want to look at and model yourself after, a guy that's been told no, a guy that's been cut, but he never gave up. And if you want to be in a position where you can help a football team or you want to play in the National Football League, don't give up. Continue to work hard and do all that you need to do to get to the next level. That's a very good question.
Great question. Another one is Aaron Foster, from the running back from the Houston Texans. He was undrafted as well. You'll hear Mr. Little, he shared it in this one, but one of his idols that he looked up to was Michael Jordan. He was cut from his freshman basketball team. So, I mean, there's so many different, and look, he's probably the greatest basketball player, definitely the greatest winner in NBA history. I mean, just a guy, I saw a statistic not too long ago that he had 45 40-point performances in the postseason. So it's a guy that just, when the game was on the line and when it really mattered, he got even better. So, I mean, it's just an amazing stat that I saw about him. But Mr. Little keeps referring to, how difficult it is to get in the NFL. And I'll give you guys a number because it's the number we use for our educational programs, for one of our programs that we do. It is only 0.2% of high school seniors that play football will ever make an NFL roster. That's according to the NFL Players Association, 0.2%. And to put that into numbers, that's pretty much 2 in 1,000, 1 in every 500. If you start thinking about your high school football team and you have 50 players and 20 of them are seniors, 25 high schools, you might have one person make it in the NFL. That's how difficult it is. And even at that, as Mr. Little's already said, the average career is only about 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot of things to. Anyway, doesn't mean you can't achieve it, but also have a backup plan in store as well. And your education is going to be the key to that. So thank you again, Baron, for the great questions. I see we have about 7 or 8 minutes left. We should be able to run through one more question from each school. Let's go back to North Syracuse. Amagaga, go ahead.
What was it like playing Division I football? Was it difficult to adjust to the workouts, practices, traveling, classes, and more?
Well, yeah, being a student athlete today is very challenging, especially when you play at that level, Division I, and I think any level, Division III or whatever it is, it's always a challenge because you have to split your time with studying and playing and practicing. I think it's grueling to go to practice and then after practice go to class. See, one of the things I did at Syracuse University, all of my classes was early in the morning. I had graduated in military school, so I was getting up at 6:15, 7:15 every morning anyhow. So all my classes was 8, and my last class was at 11 something. So I had time enough to study before practice because after practice I gave it so much I didn't have any strength or energy to study the way I wanted to study, and I wasn't very smart anyhow, so I needed all the time I can get. So as a guy who was an early riser, I wanted to study early, or go to classes early so I could study before practice, because practice takes everything out of me, because I gave it everything I had on the practice field. So it was very, very difficult, very, very challenging. But playing Division I sports, period, is a challenge. I look at the kids today, how hard they work, the tutors that are there, the practice and study sessions that they have, and then going on the road, they got their books with them. It's hard to be a student athlete today, playing on in any athletic program. It's hard, but it's a commitment that you have to make. It's 4 years that you have to sacrifice to have 40 years of success when you're done. As a college Division I athlete, if you can find yourself making the sacrifices necessary during these 4 years and hanging with the right people, making the right choices, staying focused, at the same time enjoying your surroundings, taking advantage of the university and what it all has to offer, and the friends that you make during that time that you're in college are the friends that you will have for a lifetime. It's good time, but you have to really make good choices and good decisions, because you make bad decisions, you're going to wind up in a bad situation. And a lot of us do make bad decisions, unfortunately. But playing Division I sports is a challenge for anybody, and but it's a part of making that sacrifice to be successful over the next 40, 45 years. So it's great. It's an opportunity that a lot of people don't get. So I encourage you to take the chance, take the opportunity, work hard, be the best athlete, student athlete you can be, and you'll have all of the success that you need after you've made that commitment and that sacrifice. So yeah, it was hard playing Division I sports, but I did it. I wasn't the smartest guy in the world, and I'm sure you can do it as well.
Thank you, North Syracuse. Let's go to Fredericksburg Battlefield. Last question from you guys.
Mr. Little, is there a player, both the collegiate and NFL level, that sticks out in your mind who was like the hardest hitter or who was very difficult for you to overcome, or you remember changing your game plan at all against?
Well, I can say he's a Hall of Famer. His name is Willie Lanier. He was a middle linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs in the glory days, and I knew Willie in college because we competed on the track field together. But when he became a Kansas City Chiefs, and now he's a Hall of Famer, he was a guy that I tried to avoid as much as I could because he was a real stickler on really sticking me because he was assigned to me during that game. Because during those days, if Floyd Little got 100 yards, the Broncos would win. If Floyd Little didn't get 100 yards, the Broncos would lose. So Willie Lanier's charge and responsibility was to keep me from making 100 yards. And most of the times he did. And that's why the Kansas City Chiefs beat us so much. But he was a player that really, he and the other linebacker, Bobby Bell, who's also in the Hall of Fame, and the one that should be in the Hall of Fame is the other guy who also played for Notre Dame. I can't think of his name at this point in time. But they had the greatest linebackers in pro football when I played. And these guys were guys that I didn't look forward to playing against because they were really solid, strong football players with good work ethic. But at the same time, they were understanding because at the end of the game, they would all come to me and ask me, did I survive it? Will I be able to play next week against the Raiders? And they were always concerned about my health. So now we're Hall of Famers together, and we still have that same respect for each other. So, but yeah, Willie Lanier was that player that I hated playing against.
And I do see we're coming up to 12:30, and I know we got to get Mr. Little moving. He's got other commitments as well that day. So, Mr. Little, just to close the program, are there any last-minute words or advice that you would like to share with these students that maybe we didn't touch on here today?
Well, Jerry, I think we touched on a lot, but the thing that I like to emphasize and continue to emphasize is the value and the importance of staying in school and getting the kind of knowledge and experience that you need to be successful in life. And also to stay focused and surround yourself with people who want to grow. Hang around with people that are smarter than you are. Hang around with people that want to be successful and continue to work hard because knowledge through education is an ongoing process that never ends. I mean, today you have to really get to be the best that you can be because you've got to be competing with some of the smartest people in the world. And if you don't have that ability to compete with these people, you're not going to get the greatest jobs. You're not going to get the greatest opportunities. You're going to always be mad at yourself. And one of the things that I want to leave with them is as a student, as an athlete, two things you can never say. Never say these two things as long as you live. I wish I had or I should have. If you can go through life and never say those two things, you would reach the highest level of success in your life possible. And I encourage you all to be the best that you can be. Never say I wish I had or I should have. And enjoy your life. Stay focused. You are our future leaders. We look to you for direction. Be world changers. Be life changers. Be the best that you can be. Congratulations and good luck to you going forward.
And Mr. Little, just on behalf of the Hall of Fame, from our board to Steve Perry to everyone else here, Joe Horgan, you know our staff pretty well here in Canton, Ohio. Just let me say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're involved in a lot of different things. You just got back into town. from this weekend, and you're on the go as well. So I know taking time out of your busy schedule, it took a commitment and sacrifice. So we greatly appreciate that here in Canton, Ohio. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, it's a joy. It's a joy, Jerry. I look forward to this week as I spend some time with Andrew Luck and all of the All-Americans and Andrew's father, Oliver Luck, and RG3, the Heisman Trophy winner who I've gotten to know, and all these athletes that I was able to really, really unite and enjoy and see their eyes and see their excitement, and to challenge them to be world changers and life changers rather than, or as well as game changers. So it was good for me, and I'm glad to be a part of this. I just hope that somewhere along the lines you picked up something, whether it's in the 6 basic ingredients or you've decided to stay in school or you were thinking about not staying in school, but to continue to work hard and stay in school and know that you can change the world. You can be the best that you can be. You can be people who are people that everybody aspire to be like. You can too be a distinguished American if you really, really want to. But it takes some sacrifice to do that. So I just encourage you all to continue to stay in school and work hard and enjoy your life. And we look for you on the next level, whatever that level is. So, but I know that a lot of you will have a lot of success in your lives, and I just honor you and respect you, and hope that you don't succumb to peer pressure, the negative peer pressure, and that you become solid people, solid athletes, solid students, and be a contributor to our society.
And students, if you would, let's all unmute our microphones. Let's give a warm round of applause to Hall of Famer Floyd.